Charlie's a little embarrassed about that. We know who you are. So, good morning. Good morning. That's a taste of tonight. It's going to be fun. So I look forward to it. And I appreciate that song because in what I want to share today, it's about new beginnings. It's about what we're preparing for in this very sacred time between what has been, to recognize and be grateful for that, and to see where we're going. The readings tonight, thank you, Lori, for reading those so beautifully, and taking us into a place of knowing that what we think right now is going to be out picturing. So let us tend to that soil of our mind, and through prayer and through spiritual work, to be absolutely sure that 2018 is all that it can be for us. And in particular, this song, there was a story from Wayne Muller, from A Life of Being, Having, and Doing Enough. And it ties in so beautifully because he shares to love even this, no matter what you've been experiencing throughout this past year. Bring it to the present moment today. Bring it right here. Bring it into your heart space and visit it in a new way. So he shares these words. On a particular hot summer day, my father, Norman, 93 years old, got off the ferry on the little island where he spent much of his life. The ferry from the mainland is the essential lifeline for everything and everyone. At boat time, people gather to see each other and catch up on the day's activity and make plans. Norman is a favorite on the island. He's friendly and respectful. He takes time to talk to everyone. He has very limited eyesight, and his lack of hearing has caused him to modify his interactions. Instead of his hearty, glad to see you, he often will ask, tell me who you are. Tell me who you are. So he has an idea of whom he is speaking. On a particular day, as I was waiting for Norman to get off the ferry, I noticed he was making his way through the crowd, uncharacteristically trying to avoid contact with anyone, clearly searching for me. When I called to him, he reached for me and grabbed my arm. He propelled me up the tramp to the golf cart. There he told me the story of his day. He had taken the ferry to town earlier that day because he was having trouble with his dentures. The dentist kept his dentures to repair them and sent Norman off without them. So besides being legally blind, deaf, today he had no teeth. In this condition, he had already spent the day in town wrestling with public transportation, navigating large grocery stores, hailing cabs, forced to interact with many, many people. This was a man who had great dignity. He was a lawyer of an international airline, negotiated with the Russians, arranged contracts with the Chinese, established agreements with the African nations. Today he was an old man who couldn't see or hear or had no teeth, and he wanted to go home. Before I could figure out what I could possibly offer in the form of consolation or comfort, he turned to me, looked directly at me, and simply said, you know, I'm learning to love what is. I'm learning to love what is. What space that leaves you with. Instead of some of the things I wanted to share with you this morning as a lead-in to your heart space. What is your spiritual intention? What are your intentions for 2018? I brought this up at a meal with my family over this last week, and my son was a little bit snappy, and he goes, I don't do that. And I thought, oh, I was there once. And so I felt like we were going to do one of those. But I realized, a lot of times I don't want to do intentions. I kind of was saying that a few years ago because I always failed them, and I always was disappointed in myself. And so I thought, okay, just don't save myself. Don't go there. Don't make an intention. But then I started looking at something a different way because of something that Dr. Reverend Ken Gordon said in his message to the Center for Spiritual Living for this message today. And he said, to do the deep prayer work, but to begin with forgiveness, self-forgiveness. So I looked at that piece as a way to understand what have I been not attending to in my own self, where I keep offering up. I was sharing with Mary, my intentions seem to be the same ones that I've been disappointed in myself. So therefore, I create that new intention for 2018 based on where I've not been happy with myself. And then I strive for perfection. And then I strive, and I strive, and I strive, and I find myself back to a place of disappointment by January 5th, So it's the self-forgiveness that I want to share with you as my time, as my opportunity to speak a few words to you, and to recognize from the readings that were shared from Ernest Holmes the power and the potency of prayer itself to be the lead, to take you there. There is the story from the Tao of Forgiveness from William Martin, and he shares the story of a gentleman longing to understand this self-forgiveness. And so he goes to the holy woman and he asked her, how do I get there? What do I need to do for this self-forgiveness? How do I make this happen in my world? And she shares with him that he needs to take this journey on the boat. And on this boat, he is to take this boat across the waters, and he'll arrive at a small beach. And there he needs to go into the forest, and there he will learn his self-forgiveness. So he's doing what he says. He rows all day and night. He does this journey, and he's watching the shoreline out of sight at first, and then gradually it becomes more in view as the day darkens. And he realizes he's not too much further from arriving at his destination. But when he gets there, he looks around and he says, it's a really small beach. Looks a little terrifying, that forest that she was talking about. I think I'm just going to stay in the boat. I'm going to stay in the boat just offshore, and I'll do it in the morning. When morning came, he was disappointed to see the beach was even smaller and less hospitable than he remembered the night before. The forest seemed even more forbidding as well. So he sat all day, just wondering what to do. Finally, he decided he'd go back and ask the holy woman for clarification. So he rowed across the lake all day, walked back to the holy woman's hermitage. I saw no forgiveness on that shore. All I saw was a small beach and a dark forest. What should I do? You have to get out of the boat, shouted the holy woman. So the man went off to find another person who might be able to help him find forgiveness for which he sought so eagerly. That's what we don't do. We don't get out of the boat. We keep asking for a way, for an understanding, for a new truth. And in my research with Quimby, he says almost an identical thing. He says, in his words, I'll find this right where I want to be. Trusting to the wisdom of my experience, determined to be guided by the inhabitants of the land where I journeyed and make way to the passage that led to the other world or to a new world on this globe. This is him trying to discern his mind and to get this clarity of what healing was. And he says, sometimes I was nearly exhausted on the point of returning when a light would spring up or a solitary bird would sing in a beautiful note from a clear sky, while from this light came a mild breath of pure air that would revive my soul. In this warmth, it seemed as though I heard a voice say, "Come up hither." I'm thinking, there it is. We're always being called to this unknown land, to a new way of being, to let go, to get thee behind me, all of the ways that we have made our journey in life so far, carrying pieces of perhaps our own self-inflicted victimhood, our disappointments, our righteousness, our self-judgments, all the ways. Think about the many ways this year, or maybe just a few, that you lost your peace, that you felt. In fact, I was getting ready for the morning meditation this morning, and Charlie wakes me up out of a deep dream where I was being hateful. I'm so glad he woke me up, and I'm thinking, great, I'm going to this world healing meditation with a hate dream in my consciousness. I was putting poison oak on everybody. What a weird thing. And It took me a little bit to kind of settle out of that. When you're in it, woken up from a dream, it kind of sticks to you. But then the prayers, the beauty, the people, the candlelight showing up this morning, world healing, my own personal healing, my own journey into that through prayer, through the consciousness of letting go of something that was. So this story of forgiveness, reminding yourself in prayer, prayer is the opportunity, prayer is the boat that carries you. And then when we say, and so it is our stepping out of the boat into new land, into new territory. We're setting foot onto a symbolic idea of something new, something fresh. So I invite you to contemplate, as Mary shares her wisdom as well with this, to see what boats you've been traveling in, and if you've ever let them reach the shores of your destination of heart. Are you just allowing the same old boats to carry you all the time? Are you allowing yourself to step into spaciousness itself, into a willingness to look out and hear the birds, and to see the beauty, and to taste it, and not to be so self-absorbed in what has been, into your, what we call the conditioned mind? So the invitation we're asking you is to decide exactly what it is that you're longing for. Decide that today. Decide what drives your heart and what disturbs your heart, and try to discern the direction of your journey. Do you really want to hang on to all those opinions, judgments, being righteous, being right? Feelings, do you want to hang on to them? Just look at them. They do not define you. They're just there to stir your heart, to wake you up. So look at them, and then dwell in the presence. Dwell in what is right here, right now. If you find that you've been carrying any form of resentment in your heart, make up your mind to have the courage today, as you leave and contemplate your past years, and you look forward to the freshness of what is before you. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want to step into something greater? So this cycle of going unconscious, we have a desire in our heart, then we go unconscious, and before we know it, we've fallen into our conditioned mind, and we've done it again. We forgot what we wanted, and we've drifted into our old story, into our old excuses. Just open your eyes and try again. Wake up. Open your eyes, your ears, your senses, and feel what's going on. And then plug yourself in to begin again. Every day is a fresh day, not just January 1st. Every day, begin again and again and again. And these stories that we invent that cause us to be a slave to our past, look at those. Look at those as well, those moments where you want to try something new, but you lose your power, you give it up. You invent your stories, and you use those stories to keep you from moving forward, to keep you frightened, to say, I never was able to. I cannot because my knees hurt, my feet hurt. I cannot tell you how many people ask me, how are your feet today? And I'm thinking, why did I become defined by my feet? I know I've complained a lot about them, but I'm thinking to myself, and it's always with such sweetness that it's told or asked of me, but I'm thinking, I'm more than my feet. I am more than that. And I no longer stop myself because of some little whiny thing going on with a body part. And I'll just briefly share that when my son was with me, he points me to that. Stop it, Mom, and try again. Be a part of what's going on, and don't use those excuses to keep you from living full and rich and happy in every way, in every avenue. He is my teacher. And I have fun when I listen. When I pout and start to hold on to my stuff, it becomes conflict. But when I let go and hear the heart of my son speaking to me, I'm set free. So I ask you to not be a slave. If you could look at this new year and reach into a new idea of yourself and enjoy who that is that you know that you can be. Emerson says, do not be the slave of your past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Dive deep and swim far, so you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook all that was old. In yoga, it's called the dristi, the gaze. Keep your gaze forward. It is a gaze that is soft and deep and penetrates the illusions of all that has been. And it allows you to be soul and spirit directed. God-centered is that gaze of deep truth. Begin again and again and see, where is my gaze? Do I need to shift it here? Do I need to shift it there? Do I need to look within? Where is my focus? I am not perfect, and so I can try again. If we let down that idea of being held by the threads of perfection, by that concept, we're so set free. Our heart just reigns opportunity and freedom. So we're talking today to how does this happen? How do we do this? What is the journey? And it is through the prayer. And Ernest Holmes says this on prayer. And as we are preparing for this part, as we transition and Mary comes forward and brings this home to you, I invite the ushers to distribute the prayer cards. So if we could do that at this time. Hold on to that prayer card for a few moments. This is your opportunity to get real clear, to be real clear on your forward thinking. And when we take the offertory, just place your prayers in there at that time, and Mary and I will collect them. Only Mary and I are seeing these, and we're holding this truth for you. But Ernest Holmes says this on prayer. Prayer is nothing but a mental attitude. Prayer is nothing you eat, nothing you smell or taste, nothing you feel. But you cannot pray without thinking. Every word is an audible expression of a thought. Therefore, the ultimate essence of prayer is your thought. It is nothing but a simple and direct, positive believing, a mental attitude. That is all prayer is. And he says in conclusion here, from the thing itself, the thing called life, in the science of mind, which is a conscious use of the creative energy of the law of life, mental treatment is the art, the act, the science of living this law for the purpose of producing definite, objective, and to manifest results. So you're taking a tool of power into your hands right now. And as Mary guides you through the process, take this moment to recognize and to contemplate, what do I want for myself in 2018? There is a moment here that is designed perfectly for you. Reverend Mary?
Didn't think you have to write something this morning, huh? Think deeply about your life, about last year, about the next year. Well, we're obviously approaching the new year, and the goal this morning is to tell you that no matter how hard your life has been, no matter how rude people have been to you, no matter how difficult any situation that has caused you depression or sadness, that there is another way. There's a different way to see life differently. And at the same time, get happier. We have a lot of beautiful young people here. We all want to be happy, don't we? We all want greater happiness in our lives. It's good, so good to see you here. So life's never so out of control that you're stuck. You don't have to move out of town. You don't have to go on a diet, yay. You have to just look within, because there's always another way, no matter what. You know, you've probably heard the phrase, change your thinking, change your life. Well, that can sound so simplistic. Or if you really contemplate that, it can sound very, very difficult. But, scientists have been studying this field of energy that we live in. We're just in this big field of energy, and it permeates everything around us. And it's a power that responds to our feelings. And I'm going to do this morning when I say feelings, because if you take nothing else home with you today, I want you to remember to check in with your feelings and how they're contributing to your happiness or not. So there's a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. Why? Dependent on your feelings. All right, I want to share this with you because about 2 years ago, somewhere in here, I went to my hairdresser, and she said, I'm so tired of doing hair. And it's not that I don't like doing hairdressing, it's just that every week my clients come in and all they do is complain about their life. Is there a book I can give them so that they can learn to stop complaining? And I thought, a chronic complainer, you give them a book, they're not going to read it anyway. So I thought, well, there's another way. Obviously. So I wrote this little booklet, and I took it to their shop, and she started giving them away. And it was pretty impressive, the results that she found. So I've made copies for you, and they're on the board desk in the foyer if you would like to try this. I had someone read it this week, and she said, "Oh, I want to send to my children because they need this. They need to find another way to bring happiness back in their life." So, for those of you who've been around a while, this talk will be a bit of a refresher. But for those of you who are new, hopefully you'll get something special to take home with this. What I invite you to do on that card, because one page it says release sideways and the other says replace. Release. I want you to think about areas where you're unhappy. Really listen about where you're unhappy. Something that's depressing, something that irritates you. I don't mean to add politics to it, but it could be your work, your relationships, it could be school, it could be prosperity. You want to be more prosperous. So you want to release anything that is holding you back in those areas, and that's what I invite you to write down in that space. Now, in this booklet, I ask you to write 3 things down, but that's because you're going to take it to a quiet place with a pen and sit and think about it. But right now, it's only 1. And an example might be my partner or my parent always criticizes me. That could be something you're tired of that makes you sad or depressed. And someone else may not feel that way when they get criticized, and that's their option. But if it makes you feel sad or depressed, it's something that you really want to release. But sometimes you have to find out what you want to release and then what you want to replace it with. The only thing we control is our feelings. That's under our control, no matter what's happening. So why would we choose to feel bad? Why would we do that? Why would we choose to have pain at what someone says or does around us? Now, my guess is you don't want to feel bad, but it might be a habit you picked up from the friends you have. It might be a habit you picked up from watching TV. It might be a habit you picked up anywhere in the ethers of the universe. But surely there's something positive in life that you can think about that you can put on the back of that page. Maybe it's ice cream, chocolate chip cookies. I mean, it's a good start. It's a good start. I love ice cream. Well, one of my favorite authors is Raymond Charles Barker, and his quote, I love this: "You are the result of your past decisions. You will become and experience the result of your present decisions." So if we want to feel better, we have to think better. We have to change our attitude. And if it feels too hard to change, then I challenge you, what are you addicted to? Why are you addicted to pain? Why are you addicted to unhappiness? Because it can be addictive. You know people, I've met people that from the moment you meet them, they want to share how awful things are with you. And they share more and more and more. There was a time someone that came to my home and sat down on the couch and just started this haranguing of everything that's wrong with the world. And I had to say, you know what? I don't allow this kind of talk in our house. I really ask you to leave. Highly insulted. But I was doing it for me. I was doing it for me, and also to help her see this is not positive spiritual behavior with a minister. Of course not. So if this belief that you have that makes you sad or unhappy has this energetic ability to draw things to you like that, do you really want to be happy? Or do you want to be right with someone else who's whining? Here's an example. My partner constantly criticizes me. Sometimes people come and share that with us. And what I see there is the underlying belief is, I deserve it because I'm not too smart. Now, I know that every one of you was created by God. You're all a gift to this world. You're a gift to each other. So that cannot be the truth about you. And this underlying feeling that I'm not too smart or I'm not this or I'm not that is what they call the attractor factor. I like that definition. It's a magnet. It's going to attract like energy to you. Now, you may just think, well, that proves I'm right. I'm not really smart, or whatever it is, whatever you think negatively about yourself. But, there was this movie called The Secret, if you saw it. And you know what it was about? The secret. I always thought that was funny. The name is what it was about, The Secret. The secret is your attitude, your feelings attract like energy to you. And if you don't like it, I invite you to think about that. Why would I keep doing that? So on the back page of that, what you want to release and what you want to replace that with. Chris Johnson wrote that song, What You Dwell Upon, You Become. What you give your attention to is what your life turns out to be. Wouldn't you like to dwell upon inner peace? Especially during the holidays, inner peace. So if your issue is, I don't make good decisions because I'm not too smart, somewhere you started believing that. And that is when we do things and someone says something of us and go, oh, I don't know anything about that. We're holding ourselves back. Sue was talking about that at the first service, that Chris, I love Chris, he's so wonderful. And he wanted to get her to throw these Frisbee things, disc golf, and she said, oh no, I'm not good about that. And he said, Mom, you've got to try. And I know me and Frisbees, I throw them, they end up behind me. Their dogs go, what? I'm supposed to go this way. No, it's behind me. So I join you on that, dear. Don't wait for a crisis to know that there's another way. Replace those feelings with positive feelings, positive beliefs. And try this one. I choose positive solutions, and I trust that the intelligence of the universe has the wisdom to make positive experiences in my life. Ooh, that feels good. And when you feel good, that little feeling good part, it's kind of like when you're at the ocean and you just feel at one with everything. You see a beautiful sunrise and you feel at one with everything. Words make us feel that way. And every cell in our body is going, whoa, that feels good. Instead of, I'm not good enough, and the cells in our body go, oh, toxic energy coming. We want our body to feel good. We want our body to operate in a healthy way, and positive affirmations help our body relax and do that. So these are precious moments that we're totally in control of. Here's another one. I forgive myself for harboring any negative feelings against myself or others. Forgiveness is really big when it comes to your body, because when you can't forgive someone for whatever they did, they were only doing their best. They maybe did not care that it hurt your feelings, but they were only doing their best. But what the body feels is, I will not forgive them, I'm holding back, I'm closing down, and it's not going to operate as well as it could. Versus, I forgive them, I let them go, I put a new feeling in motion that I just love everybody no matter what. Oh boy, the body goes, wow, that feels good. That feels really good. So this process of replacing negative thoughts, emotions, and feelings with positive ones has an effect on your body, on your mind, and everyone in your world, everyone around you. It's a choice. Whether we think we can or we think we can't, we're right, because the energy just responds. So I invite you to choose on the side of goodness in your life. Think about what you wrote down, what you really like to feel and believe and know about yourself. We're praying for that for you, and we know it's totally possible. So if there's one thing that you're more aware of after this talk, what word would that be? Feelings. Feelings and how powerful they are in your life. So Sue, come up and we will close this out with a joint prayer. And pick up one of these on your way out. I hope it helps you regain all the happiness you deserve in the new year. You want to start?
Yeah, let's start. My feet hurt.
It's my knee,
I
you know?
know. I sat down and I went, oh, great, to take my shoes off. It's all one. Feel the potential and the power of this moment, of the word that dwells in your heart, the word of truth, the word of possibility, the word of healing, the words of self-forgiveness and trust. And allow your heart to open to what you feel, to no longer be satisfied with just letting it be, letting things lie, but diving deep into the soul of who you are and waking up. Wake up into a new idea and allow every word and thought be the self-fulfilling prophecy that it is done unto you as you believe. And I pass my word to Reverend Mary.
As I accept this truth in my life, I am just thrilled that I know there's truly another way. And I know it's up to me. It's up to each of us to clear the path of the past, to open a new year full of love, generosity, kindness to ourselves. And that naturally permeates to all those around us. So I give incredible thanks this morning that we were able to do these talks and bring you what we are so focused on. The new year, prayer, happiness, expanding our consciousness, expanding our awareness of the good around us. So we let these words go because we don't hang on to them. We feel them. We know them intimately. And we know we're supported by Spirit. And for that reason, we release any concern and accept it as our own. Thank you, God. And so it is.